you think of mistakes people make when learning English, you might think of things like getting phrasal verbs wrong or not knowing enough vocabulary. Obviously, these are mistakes, but they can be fixed with time and practice. And they are not the kind of mistakes that are really going to hold you back as an English learner. I'm talking about different kind of mistakes that most of us make without having realized about it. Hey everyone, this is Samya and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the common mistakes most of us make when learning English. Well, fixing these mistakes is not always easy, but if you can avoid making these mistakes, then you can find yourself progressing a lot faster than before. So without further delay, let's jump right in. Our first mistake is one that a lot of English learners make, is to use materials that are not interested to them. For example, materials that are not designed in a way you like textbooks or audio with artificial, or you are trying to listen or read something that do not fascinate you. And the result of this is you easily end up getting bored, or you may lose your motivation, or you may not be able to concentrate, and learning English becomes a burden, not a pleasure to you. So what you can do to avoid this mistake is to find things that you are interested in and where you can learn something. So if you surround yourself with real English content, then it will really help you to stick to this language and your learning process would become much easier. So you can start reading, listening and watching to those valuable content which will not only help you to improve your English, but it will also help you to watch them over and over again and to read them over and over again. So you can watch to any English movies or any English shows if you are interested in. But if you are someone like me who is interested in productivity, time management and creativity kind of stuff, then you can watch those content, because it will not only help you to improve your English, but it will also help you to be motivated throughout your journey. Now let's talk about another common mistake a lot of English learners make, that you judge your progress against other learners. But you will have to understand that everyone is learning at a different pace, using different techniques, and different things work for different people. I know sometimes we want to see how others are progressing. We want to know that. And that's why we want to engage in a conversation to understand how fast they are progressing. But you will have to understand that everyone is using techniques that work for them. By all means, you should try out different tactics, but eventually you will find out what works for you. And you should not be comparing yourself with others, because learning English is not a competition. So just trying to measure yourself with other learners is a pointless endeavor. So what I'm trying to say here, if I have improved my English in a different way, you can improve your English in a different way. Because while I was learning English, I used to read a lot, because this is something I always enjoy. But there are a lot of people who improved their English through reading or through writing or through listening or watching. So it could be anything. You should not compare other person to yourself. I know it's easier said than done that do not compare yourself with other co-learners. But you will have to understand that every 30 or 40 minutes when you look at others, that how fast they are progressing, you are not learning language at that time, and that's how you are distracting yourself from not engaging yourself with valuable English content. So it's better to use that time productively rather than comparing yourself with other learners, that why you are not progressing faster. Mistake number 3 is a very common mistake that thousands of English learners make, and that is to focus too much on grammar. I have already mentioned in one of my previous videos that there are 2 parts of grammar. One of them is really much easier to understand, but grammar has its hard parts too. So once you have covered the basics of grammar, you will have to go through the difficult parts of grammar as well. So you will have to understand that there are so many weird and mind-blowing rules of grammar in English which will take time to master. But if you have decided that the way of mastering grammar is just by sitting down with grammar books and working your way through it, then you are really not going to progress very fast at all. you will probably get discouraged and you may lose motivation if you just heads down in a grammar book. I understand that grammar has its own value and definitely it is useful to have a base understanding of grammar because it will help you to understand when to use certain prepositions and certain adverbs. But in the beginning, your focus should be more on being comfortable with the language rather than just heading down into a grammar book. So instead of focusing on grammar, like when you should be using preposition or adverbs or how to construct active voice or passive voice, you should try to acquire grammar through real materials like books, podcasts, or articles so that you understand and acquire grammar rules through real world practice rather than just focusing on the grammar rules themselves. So you don't have to worry about making mistakes because a lot of people think that when I'm practicing my English, I make a lot of grammar mistakes. That's perfectly fine in the beginning because once you become comfortable with English, you will automatically realize that these sentences should be corrected in this way. Because if you would take example of native speakers, they also make a lot of mistakes. So that's perfectly fine. Now let's talk about mistake number 4, and it is something most of us make but we don't realize it. So it may be familiar to a lot of you. You decide that you are going to learn English or you are going to improve your English, but you don't actually set time for yourself. You don't decide that when you are going to do it and how much time you are going to dedicate to improve your English or to learn English. And what happens then? You end up skipping it because there is always something else that is more fun than improving your English. I understand that a lot of people are quite busy in their life and it's easy to say that make time to learn English, but it's not as easy as sounds. However, if you have decided that you are going to improve your English, then definitely you will have to do something or other. I'm not telling you to practice English just for an hour each day. You just have to dedicate 10 to 15 minutes each day. And if you have decided that you are going to spend 10 to 15 minutes to improve your English, then you will have to do it no matter how busy you are. There is another common mistake most of us make but we don't realize about it, and it is related to setting goals. So here are 2 mistakes we make. First of all, we don't set any goal for ourselves. And the second mistake we make that we set goals for ourselves that are too hard to achieve. So now let me tell you why not setting clear goal is a big mistake. Because if you don't have anything to aim for, it's not only harder to measure your progress, but it's also harder to motivate yourself every single day. And you may easily lose your motivation and your track. So recently something happened to me. There was a girl came up to me and asked me that how I improved my English, and I shared every single thing which helped me on my journey. And right after 3 days later, she again came back to me and told me that how you could do it. I am not able to do it at all. And I asked her only one question, that did you set goal for yourself that why you are learning English? And she was like no. And then I told her that you can never learn any language, be it English or any other language, if you don't have clear and achievable goals. Well, by saying you have to clear goals, I do not mean that you have to set goals for yourself that are too hard to achieve, because there are a lot of people who have huge and lofty goals that are too ambitious and unachievable. So this might be something like, I want to become fluent in English in 3 months from scratch, or I want to study English for 8 hours each day. Of course, it would be great if you could achieve them, but you will have to understand that you are very far away from your dream or from your goal. And it's very hard to motivate yourself every single day to study English like that. So what you can do, you can set goals for yourself that are ambitious enough to motivate yourself every single day. And these goals should not be huge, because if it would be huge, you would not be motivated to practice English every single day. So your goal should be like this: I want to practice English for 10 minutes every single day, or I want to listen to a podcast for 10 minutes every single day. And then gradually you can have a bigger goal, such as I want to have a conversation with one of my friend who knows English, or I want to have a conversation with a native speaker. That's how you can set goal for yourself. So these are 5 common mistakes most of English learner make. So I hope after watching this video you are going to avoid making these mistakes if you do make them. So I wish you good luck for your language learning journey. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and interesting. So please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.